I, uh, I, I, I have some things to say about this week's episode of Card Fight Vanguard V-Series, and last week's. I was at a Yu-Gi-Oh! Regional last week, and unfortunately I just didn't get a chance to watch it. So I watched these two episodes back to back, which is a very interesting television experience. These two episodes are very interesting for many reasons. So let's dissect. Let's go in. Let's see what intelligent, witty commentary we can come up with. First and foremost, the opening shot of last week's episode is zooming out of the photo, just as the final episode of the previous episode was zooming into the photo. This is a good framing device for remembering what Asuka is doing this for. Whatever thing she does, whether it seems good or bad or in the middle, we will be able to remember that this all has something to do with Misaki, whether it's protecting Misaki or something. Like, that is good to remember because it allows us to always be wondering what's going on in her head, and also we have to keep reminding us this of what happens in this week's episode, so that way we don't get scared for Mikaru's safety. So yes, so then she instructs her two lackeys to go and grab Mikaru. There are many things one could take away from such a request. None of them good. That is for certain. But we buckle up and we continue along with the episode, because if we don't, let's be real here, the mainstream anime community will not. We get into the episode where it is revealed Shin must take makeup exams because he didn't even take his other ones because he's just been held up in the shop 24/7. They touched upon this in the first episode, so sort of nice to see that continued here. Speaking of touched upon, the reason Shin will not leave the shop is because he's afraid Eska's guard's coming, because he walked in on Eska in the shower, so we all know what he's touching, if you know what I mean. I mean his junk. Yes, that is what's happening here. Also, by the way, Eska would be completely justified calling the police to arrest Shin. Him and Mark snuck into her private loft/apartment or whatever the hell that is, and he walked in on her in the shower. Call the cops, get Shin arrested, put him in prison. The card shop gets taken over, and Misaki joins the motorcycle gang. There we go, show over. So, yes, so she sends her goons to go after Mikaru, and they get to the shop, and I just have to say, being totally honest and upfront here, the dynamic between the two lackeys is probably my favorite thing about these past two episodes. Just something about a Gravian guy and Neo Nectar Lolly, yes, that's what I'm going to call them. It was just really fun. The actors had a good back and forth. They're clearly having fun yucking it up. Seeing that the girl's personality will not just be cute kid, and she's actually kind of this scheming, like, sort of over-the-top baddie, is just fun on itself. And also, I kind of like the guys. I'm just hungry all the time. I kind of probably don't even give a shit about any of this. I thought that worked, and it was a fun dynamic. So they show up, and they want to kidnap Mikaru, and he grabs Mikaru by the arm. This is when I am questioning the animator's sanity. And so the guy's like, Angel Feather guy, instead of being like, I'm gonna call the cops, or tells Mikaru to just, like, scream bloody murder, he's just like, no, I'll beat you in a card fight, and then you've gotta leave her here. Yeah! So, also, good work. You know these two are two of Eska's right-hand people. Good work. So then they card fight, and he turns into the Angel Feathers, but it's not like we're getting more masculine Angel Feathers now that a man is playing them. It's literally just he becomes a little trap boy. Cause anime. Just anime. And so then this guy uses the new Agravian stuff. Obviously, we didn't get official effects revealed, but my personal first few thoughts on New Gold Paladin stuff, it looks cool. Tron, Eskrad, and Agravian were all seen, all of whom seem to have effects based around getting early calls for early game rush. This is really cool considering I like the idea of another play strategy besides Ezel, as Gold Paladins have this tendency of forcing you into certain subsects. Here it's kind of like the stuff will obviously be able to work with it, but it's got its own stuff. I think it's a good little preview of what's to come for the deck. So then, moving on from there, this guy beats Angel Feather Guy, and the whole him just getting really hungry, and that's why he gets vicious. I'm not gonna lie, I found it funny. The kid loses. Obviously, his arc is going to be learning to get stronger and learning to fight for himself, and I imagine these two will have a rematch at some point. I do feel sorry for the guy. He rode Hospital, so it's just like, you didn't even lose due to your own bad skills. Like, it happens, man. We draw our late game card early game, and just like no time to set up. It happens. So then they kidnap Mikaru. That final shot of Shin screaming in unison to the other two, but it's just because he has more exams to do, is kind of funny. And so we move on to this week's episode. I don't remember the title of this episode. I just know it should be called How to Catch a Predator, because we go into some very interesting directions. So Mark shows up at the card shop, wakes the kid up. I assume he wasn't actually beat up, in which case he just took a nap. So that happened. And Mark goes to the kid, what happened? And the kid's like, they kidnapped Mikaru. Instead of being like, let's call the police. Let's call her brother. Let's do anything. It's just like, nah, leave a note in complicated Japanese writing, and we'll do it. 2 teenagers will sneak into a building and kidnap a kidnapped child. Just card game animes, man. Freaking card game animes. I'm just picturing myself with like a cigarette right now. It's like, card game anime fan, card game animes. So anyways, so they get into the building and Brock from Pokemon just lets them right through. I'll do appreciate the fact that none of this is ever played super seriously, so I don't have to really harp on that much. So I feel like the tone works. It's just the content. So then we get more of the two, and this time he takes her, and this time Mark takes on a Gravian guy in a fight that I actually liked, because I like the fact he used Protect 1, I like the effective use of the tokens, I thought it was a good fight, and it was sort of touching to see him want to help the kid, and so that I actually liked quite well. Meanwhile, so, the reason Mikaru was kidnapped, we get more Eska fan service, because that's what Vanguard does now, apparently. Eska wants Mikaru to become an idol. We all know Bushiroad and Vanguard has a weird obsession with idols, people. So immediately I'm like, where is this going? So then Eska takes Mikaru and locks her up in a room with all these clothes. And I'm like, I don't like where this is going. I don't like where this is going. And immediately Mikaru's like, I have a cell phone. Why don't I call somebody? Nope. She just starts trying on clothes. And we first see her pick up a slutty dress, but then we see her in a normal dress. So my assumption is the slutty dress was just kind of a wink and a nod. Nope. We get a flashback. A rather gratuitously long flashback that goes up and shows us her butt and exposed back. Someone is doing ungodly things to this image right now, and I don't want to think about it, so I won't. So then moving on, Eska is revealed to be smiling at Mikaru. Again, call the police, because the way Eska's looking at her, now some of you may say, oh, Kevin, you and your goofiness. We all know Eska is just smiling because she thinks she's got Mikaru hooked on the idol idea. To which case, I'd say that is the smile of a woman getting turned on because she watched somebody undress. Like, that is the look of a woman who has got some issues. So then, she takes Mikaru to a makeup table, and we have a weird conversation about makeup. It's mostly creepy, because Eska's getting all close to Mikaru, and she's talking about doing her makeup, and talking about how she's a diamond in the rough who needs to be polished. I don't want to know what Eska wants to polish Mikuru with. Just know it is probably not legal. So then she does Mikuru's makeup, and we kind of get a reminder why anime faces with makeup kind of aren't overly a great idea. Like, they kind of make it look like she's pretty, and if this worked for you, that's fine. My general sort of thing is, because anime faces tend to have much smaller details while other details will be extenuated, usually eyes and hair, I feel like when you put a lot of makeup on an anime character, I think it just makes the face look kind of busy and cluttered, because usually the face's proportions aren't properly adapted. It's different with someone like Asuka or the Angel Feather Girl in G, because that was clearly part of it in the first place, the way they use their femininity. But with Mikuru, like, yeah, I think Mikuru's design is cute, and I thought she was sexy in G when she was an adult, but here, I don't know, it just kind of looks a little cluttered to me, and maybe that's the idea, because obviously she's not comfortable with this, and her big character moment is when Eska tries to get her to agree to being an idol, and Mikuru's like, no, I want my mommy, why do you have my underwear? Okay, she didn't say that last part, but the thing is they're trying to frame this as character development. It's actually not. The thing is that Mikuru up until now has been the responsible one. She's been the one who, like, wants to prioritize doing the right thing. So making it she has a lapse in judgment that has no real consequences, besides she's just wearing makeup, doesn't actually develop her character further, because just reestablishing what we already know. So it doesn't actually serve a real purpose. It's just kind of there. Which is what I'd say was this episode. Obviously, the bit where Eska's like, she was an idol for a card shop before. I assume that means Misaki's shop, the Tokura family shop, Card Capital, whatever. That is that, and the episode ends with sub-manager eating fish. So what are my thoughts on this? I mean, look, just everything with the Mikuru stuff, like, it's just so weird. I don't know, man. All I know is that Mikuru needs to be protected. And not because I really care about that side of anime fandom. Just, like, protect this girl from Eska. So, yeah, that was these two episodes of Cardfight Vanguard G. Sorry this went on a little long. And sorry there's kind of only one picture. It's late and I'm tired. So, yeah, that is this episode. Tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. And as for the Vanguard question of the week, let's keep talking about the Agravian support. Do you think this Agravian build could potentially be better than Ezel? Because sort of the trade-off is that Agravian seems to be more based around massive calling, whereas Ezel was more based around using Ezel to overwhelm the opponent. These two strategies are distinctly different, and as early game rush continues to be one of the dominant forms of Vanguard playstyle, I can't help but feel that Agravian might actually just take it, just for the fact that it can just rush the fuck out of the opponent. But again, obviously, we don't know what these effects are. We don't know what the costs are. Costs have always been such a big problem with Gold Paladin, even with Din Drain. So we'll see about that in the future. And as always, click to like, click to subscribe, and join me next week. Hopefully, maybe, probably. Yeah, I think I can get this out.